Objective. So I think it's easiest to explain this graphically. So the longevity function can, I think, be simplified into two components or two vectors.
I don't believe
you. The first is lifespan.
That makes no sense.
The second is health span.
That makes no sense. Well, quality of life.
And I would represent them this way. Lifespan would be like your time variable, and health span here on the y-axis. Now this actually sort of makes sense. I think this is intuitively obvious. Obviously, your lifespan ceases when you are no longer alive, so it's a binary issue. But this health span is sort of a sliding component. Now, I think everybody sort of intuitively understands what health span means. It's obviously some representation of quality of life, but I think it is helpful to come up with some definition for it, and I will not represent that this is a universally or globally accepted definition. It is simply my definition, which is to say that it could be easily challenged, but it provides a helpful framework for the way I think about this clinically. So the way I think about it, there are four pieces to health span.
Been so fucking honest. Thank you.
Now, the first two really seem to matter with age. The second two probably do to some extent, but not in as much of a physiologic way as the first two. So the first one is the mind, which for at the risk of sounding a little too touchy-feely, what I really mean by that is cognition. So let's really, in parentheses, cognition. And what do I mean by cognition? There are really three elements that go into cognition that we can measure objectively and presumably track over time. So the first is executive function. The second is processing speed. And the third is short-term memory. Now, I suspect everybody in this room knows what each of those are, but you may also or may not be aware that these are sort of some of the things that tend to go away in neurodegenerative disease. It typically starts with a reduction in short-term memory. I think everybody understands what that means, your ability to recall something after a really short time. Processing speed, of course, I think most people acknowledge that, that kind of gets a little, your CPU, your ability to do a calculation or look at data and make an inference quickly, that tends to slow over time. But I think for most people, executive function is the thing that they hold most dear. And obviously, that's the thing that when it really goes away in later stages of dementia, becomes an enormous source of morbidity. The second component of health span is the body. And again, as I alluded to earlier, this isn't really about performance. So it's not how fast you can run the 100-yard dash or how many pull-ups you can do. It's going to be more a function of three other sort of features. The first is the maintenance of muscle mass. And I'm going to hope to convince you by the end of this talk that muscle mass is important, whether you're young, old, male, female, think you're an athlete, don't think you're an athlete, it doesn't matter. Muscle mass matters for many reasons, both structural and biochemical. The second element is functional movement. So functional movement, which I differentiate from movement that's not necessarily functional. So not to sort of diminish in any way or say, hey, it's not cool to be able to do the splits. That's not a particularly functional movement. So yes, it's great if you can do yoga and you can do all these great things, but I'm much more interested as a clinician in can you hip hinge correctly? So a hip hinge is, if you drop this piece of chalk, do you have to kind of awkwardly pick it up, or can you squat perfectly and pick it up without any tension, with all the movement in your thoracic spine, nothing in your lumbar spine, that sort of thing. And believe it or not, that any of you that have children, if you look at a 2-year-old and they pick something up, they always pick it up just like that. They have perfectly flexible hips. And once a kid gets into grade school, that actually ceases to be automatic, because once you spend a lot of time sitting, these muscles get very tight, these muscles get very weak, and all of a sudden the hip hinge goes away. And so, I mean, I would say that I could attribute 80% of the physical morbidity I see that's skeletal in nature to people's inability to hip hinge correctly, because from that everything else flows, in addition to a couple of common muscle imbalances. The third component here is freedom from pain. If any of you have ever been injured chronically, I certainly have been and spent a year of my life in unbearable pain, you realize that most nothing else in life matters if you are actually in physical pain. And unfortunately, as we age, so too do our chronic injuries. And therefore, I consider this sort of the third element of sort of physical health. The other two things, which again don't clearly live in Boston, and it's annoying, that's a source of kind of acute emotional pain. And so, there's some people for whom that just doesn't bother them, and there's others for whom that's a great source of distress. And then at the other end of the spectrum, it can be something much more significant. People have vastly different capacities to cope with distress. And there are some people who have very little distress tolerance, and everything just annoys them. And there are others that have an enormous buffer of distress tolerance, and those same insults become much less distressful. So the question is, do you have a bigger buffer? And then the final thing here is sense of purpose and social support. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole heck of a lot about these today, but I do think it's important to just show you the whole picture, which is, in my experience, clinically, it is very difficult for someone to have a great quality life if they are not doing well on these metrics. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. Stephen Hawking doesn't have a whole heck of a lot here, but I don't know him, but it's quite possible he's entirely satisfied. So again, it's not an absolute, but it's a way to think about this. So what does the longevity curve look like? So for the average person in this country, it looks about like this.
He's always smiling, right?
At about the age of 80, it's going to cross there.
That's such a fucking asshole. Okay, that's the average.
It looks about like that. So, what are the features of this curve
80,
that we
I'm
want to
probably
change?
to 160
Speaking about what is the
or less.
the objective is to change 3 features of this curve.
Know.
So, first let's look at a couple of its characteristics. So, sort of peaks around
that
40.
shock, man. It will break. It's good quality.
You hit about 50% of peak, and by the way, from a graphical perspective, I'm mostly referring to these two, right? The mind-body. And then you're going to get the last 50% decline in about the last decade. And I think any of you who have watched grandparents get old or watched other people get old, I think you'll appreciate that at this stage of the game,
yeah, those are my parents right there, because they're fucking retards who don't listen.
Is actually quite small. The rate of change.
Because if I tell you, hey, I know how to make them live till
is
120
relatively
degrees,
easy
right?
to miss.
Longer than their grandma.
Whereas here,
yeah,
it's actually quite precipitous.
They won't listen.
Right, so here, df by dt is actually quite great. And an anecdote is one of my patients is very close friends with Warren Buffett, and he mentioned to me 2 things that struck me. The first is he sees Warren maybe every 6 months, and he said it's amazing how over the previous year, 2 years of seeing him, that 6 months is more than enough to notice a significant decline in his physical health. The second thing, which I found really interesting, which is just sort of a thought experiment,
cells
is
take only 3 months
that,
to be created.
Warren doesn't speak about anything other than health anymore privately, right? So, I mean, obviously, there's lots for Warren to talk about, but really time is the most important thing. And it actually illustrates a point that I would challenge you all to consider, right? Which is, I would be willing to bet that not one of you, if you were offered every dollar of his fortune, would trade places with him right now.
It doesn't matter if you
and
have
the reason,
all the money
and you would all
planet.
intuitively say no, I think, because you realize that time matters more than money.
Third world countries,
and I would also bet, by the way, that he would be willing to be 20 years old again if he was broke.
Milk.
So never discount this idea of time and what a precious commodity it is. So here are the three things of this curve we want to fix.
What? Your mama?
So let's draw kind of the new curve starting about here. So this curve has three things about it that now become the objective of longevity.
I don't believe
The first is we want to drive more lifespan. Now, a lot of people don't initially care that much about this. A lot of people, I think, and understandably say, look, I just want to live better. I don't care if I live any longer. And that's fine. My view is you can have both. And time is optionality. So nothing I'm going to talk about today fits in the category of what I describe as step function improvements in human longevity. This is all a very incremental, piecemeal strategy to reverse engineering this. But every additional year you buy here does potentially open up the door for some of these step function changes. Can you reprogram progenitor cells? Can you selectively turn off senescent cells? Will, perfectly selective rapalogs come along? These sorts of things. The second thing, in addition to actually extending lifespan, is delaying the rate of decline of health span.
Delaying the rate of decline. You're using, but not say, this presentation is using
compressing
people's stats for a developed society. That's it.
Can see in multiple different ways. That's been my experience anyway. And see with more detail. But yeah, so just, it's never what you think it is. And it's also very unique to the individual. So one of the things that I experience when I'm seeing spirits is that I will be looking at something, and my eyes don't register anything as there. Like, my physical eyes do not register anything as being there. But in my brain, there's an inner eye that is telling me that it is seeing there is a figure standing there, and sometimes I get some detail, sometimes I don't. That has been the kind of most common experience of me seeing spirits, and it's still pretty much like that. I see them more often now with the third eye awakening, but that is sort of the most common experience where I'm seeing with an inner eye. And I'm seeing with or hearing with an inner ear, or I have just sort of a sense of knowing, or I'll get, like that sort of internal thinking.
It's called osteoporosis.
Where all of a sudden I'll just sort of get some weird random information out of nowhere.
Weird
that was,
random
not a part of what I was thinking. So those are sort of like the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience sort of experiences. Now,
what? I'm not going to target you.
Another thing, people that are very intuitive and empathic will sometimes get weird sensations and weird responses to vibrational energy.
Really?
And I've seen this a lot with people that are sensitive to spirits that don't realize that's what they're seeing. And I remember so clearly one woman, we were traveling, and she was part of the group I was traveling with, and one of the places they booked us happened to be haunted. And I was having very intense experiences and seeing things, and I was really aware of the haunting. She was comfortable, and she felt like her skin was crawling, and she, was just kind of generally freaking out, feeling uneasy, feeling uncomfortable, and I immediately recognized in her that she was sensing this energy of these spirits without realizing it. That she was seeing them and experiencing them, and she had no idea, which is why she just sort of
I only got 2 right, and I only got 2 though. So you know what? I'm gonna say fuck this, cause I know I'm gonna get massacred, right? So bye bye. I'm not gonna play. That's it. Go by percentage. 2 cards, and you only have 2, and they're together.
See beautiful
that makes no
colors,
sense.
Black hole,
Mathematically.
neon green swirling around.
Get the fuck out of fucking
That's not something
early
that I
college,
personally
right?
experience, but if you are experiencing,
I swear you people are sucking so much. I'm gonna make a bachelor's degree in programming and program for you, cause you suck.
Obviously, you're experiencing something. Something's going on. I really like. I mean, I don't know. I don't like when I close my eyes. I don't just get third eye visions. I have to, kind of shift myself into the right space for it. And I have been starting to get more of the kind of, movie vision kinds of things, or when I'm remote viewing, I feel like I'm in the place, but like I'm a second life. And a lot of times I don't get visuals at all, or the visuals that I get are very subtle. Where to begin? When I'm doing third eye readings, especially doing body scans, I get visuals, and it's like, like I can kind of zoom in on the body and like go through individual, strands of muscle cells and things like that. When I'm doing like the mind reading, and looking into what your patterns and blockages are.
That's not third eye reading. You just gotta know the fucking symptoms.
Get little clips of movies where I'm seeing things, but mostly it's sort of like a story is being told to me, and information is being given to me more than like I'm seeing anything. And when I'm doing reading, when I'm doing the third eye reading, and when I'm doing the third eye walking, so these are the ones that are most like, you see through your third eye as if you were seeing through your regular 2 eyes. And the kids at the Adina that are, really good at this have that experience where they close their eyes and they can still see clearly through their third eye. I am still working on getting to that point. But when I was learning to walk blindfolded, seeing with my third eye, it took me a while to kind of figure that out. And so what I had to do was sort of stop using the part of my brain
that always uses
the 2 eyes. So I felt like I had to dunk myself underwater so that the 2 eyes were underwater and the third eye was above water. To kind of do that, to kind of shut down that part of the brain that sees with 2 eyes and let, the non-mechanical parts of the brain that see with the third eye, focus on those. And when I did that, I started noticing that I was getting this sort of feeling that would come up on, either side of me. And I realized when I had that kind of feeling like, a very slight kind of pressure, I had to move left or right, that I had to move away from it. And that was, whatever gray fuzz in a black background. There's, with a little bit of like neon sparkling around the edges. It wasn't very clear. But that was my experience of that. Now, when I'm doing the third eye reading, I'm not at a point where I'm actually seeing the letters yet. They're just sort of coming to me through, a knowing, a sense of knowing. And actually, right now I'm practicing with playing cards. So, because they have the suits and the pictures on them, I'll get, a sense of the picture as well. So, yeah, that is my experience of seeing through the third eye, where sometimes you actually see things, and sometimes you just get kind of a sense of knowing, more of a clairsentient sort of experience. If you are seeing swirling lights and colors, like, that is your experience. Who am I to tell you it's wrong? And how do you really know when your third eye is open? You know when your third eye is open when you are, very clearly and reliably manifesting the abilities of the third eye. And I don't even know what all of them are. But, some people have like a little bit of opening, some more or less. One of the main things that I've found, so kind of the main blockage is this doubt and this not knowing, right? Like, here you are, Anna, asking this question to me, saying, I'm seeing this, that, and whatever, and asking me all these questions, like, what am I supposed to see? Is this what I'm, is this, do you have similar experiences? Is it good? It doesn't matter if I have similar experiences or if I see anything like you. It's about not doubting yourself. And even as someone that was seeing spirits and having experiences since I was a child, that it wasn't until I was in my 30s, and the first time I did the Inner Awakening program when it was offered at the LA Temple onto a video conferencing where we worked on self-doubt. And it was like I really doubted myself and I really doubted my abilities, and I constantly questioned my sanity because there was a lot of, mental illness, people with mental illness in my life, and people, accusations of mental illness and misunderstandings about mental illness in my life. I was doubting myself because I thought I might be, what if I am mentally ill? What if I am delusional? What if I am hallucinating? And so I didn't share my experiences because I doubted myself and I was afraid to. And I didn't really know if they were real or true because I didn't know other people that had these same experiences as me. That was the thing. Like, nobody that I knew, even people that had abilities, nobody that I knew experienced it quite like I did. And so I didn't really believe in it. I believed enough to continue to, look at it and use it, but I didn't believe enough to, really, truly, deeply believe that I was capable of these things. And you really just need to work on your self-doubt and believe in your own perception, believe in your own experience. That, there is no checklist of what are you supposed to see and what is it supposed to look like. There's a very large sort of cloud bubble of experiences that people have and way that people see and ways that people know. I mean, when you talk about astral traveling, people describe, when they're astral traveling, sometimes they only have an infinitely small pinprick vision, or they'll feel like they're watching themselves, having this sort of third person outsider point of view, watching themselves going through astral traveling. I mean, there's just such a huge variety of ways to know. So if you are seeing a black hole with swirling colors, you have to decide for yourself if that is a third eye awakening, and if you, really truly believe that in what you are experiencing, or if you are doubting your experience. And so
what I've been through,
doubt yourself. I
believe in the third eye, yeah. No fucking way.
But
what I've been through, no fucking way.
Is, having self-doubt or doubting themselves or their experience, I'm more than happy to work with you one-on-one with that issue. It's something that I had to get over myself. You have to really just believe in yourself and believe in what you're seeing. I mean, there's nothing you're supposed to see or not supposed to see. The third eye is an opening to the cosmos. Okay, so you are seeing what you are supposed to be seeing. You are seeing what the cosmos wants you to see. That, I can go and get third eye readings from a dozen different people, and they will all see something different, but they will all see exactly something that's real and accurate and true. And, like the universe is huge. The universe is really huge. And even if you're talking about one person and one, third eye reading on one person, that, when it doesn't, people do that, they're each going to see different facets, different aspects, different things. Like, even one person is that I received, like, the full third eye awakening initiation. Previously I was able to manifest some of the abilities, but not fully and completely. And just being in that space, just being in his presence.
Oh yeah.
Immediately
you have the energy.
Not
yet.
Like
I can do that.
Before I even went
Check
up
that
to the
out.
initiation from him, where he puts his finger on your third eye to open it up. Before I even went up, in the there's like a meditation period that we have, and it was like that day. It was a really, really long meditation. It was like an hour or something of meditation. And it was during that time that I started having like all these visions and stuff happening. I started seeing remotely and all of these things before, just in the meditation before even going up for the exact initiation. So yeah, definitely just like be open. Just be open and don't out yourself. If you want help or coaching or anything, or if you want to know more about, meeting the guru and having this initiation, check out the description. Everything is there. Okay, Nityanandan, everyone.
Tumblr. Yeah. Jesus, Tumblr. You're black and a person. You look like an alien. Oh shit. Alright. Go. You are a pirate. We got us a map. Broken. You eran Berutan. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to stop the clock. That's fine. Be an asshole. Fucking MTG programmers. Yeah, he still gets a clue. It's what I want to avoid. Stop the clock. The minute it enters, stop the clock. Instant speed land. Cool. Stupid animation. Learn how to program. God damn it. Look at that. God damn it. It just pisses me off. Look, are you kidding me? The feta push missed because of the animation? Wow. That's insane. That's fucking insane. Alright. That's fine. Everybody died. Berugan. Take damage or I draw 3 cards. I bet he's just gonna skip and ditch a fucking bug. I bet you. No, I draw 3 cards. I'll your move. He's gonna keep my renegade. 5 power, right? Yeah, put 3 1/1s. As up mode. That's insane. Now this is it's good for like the Pro Tool. That's it.
Sometimes you may ask why the persons manifest powers so especially this haritaki, applying the haritaki in the body and taking bath and enema, washing your eyes, all this help. Nityanandeshwara Samarambam Nityanandeshwari Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. I welcome all the Sarvanyapita Yajamans, Nitya Satsangis, Sri Mahans, Mahans, Kotaris, Tanedars, visitors, YouTube subscribers, viewers, everyone sitting with us all over the world through Nityananda TV, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha all over the world. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. Let me expand on the sacred secret science of third eye. The science which goes on raising the frequency of your perception. Listen carefully.
Okay.
Which goes on raising the frequency of your perception.
I don't
Yesterday
believe you.
Simple technique. Letting the turmeric and kumkum work on your third eye. Why you know?
Kumkum.
Turmeric is the powerful antidote for fluoride. Please understand. Fluoride and turmeric both enter into your system through skin. For example, the fluoridated water. You don't have to drink fluoridated water to get the fluoride toxin inside you. Fluoride is officially classified as a neurotoxin. Listen carefully. Fluoridated water or objects you don't have to drink. Orally you don't have to by the toxin. Even if you take bath in the water fluoride can enter into your system. through skin it enters. Same way,
Yeah.
turmeric has the quality to enter into your system through skin.
It's a snake
40%
though.
of
I
the
know what's the
turmeric
price on the snake,
enters
but
into
it
your
looks
skin
pretty good.
when you rub it. For example, if
Maybe
you
$3.
rub 100
$3.
gram turmeric on your skin, 40 gram penetrates and gets into your system. The penetration rate is too high. It's a complete antidote for fluoride. There are many old Buddhas saying, see, my kids' third eye are all awakened. They all do third eye reading. Somehow still I am struggling. When I tie, it's only all black. Sometimes even the guys who are 20, 30, even 20s feel, oh, nothing is working for me. Whoever has that feeling, third eye is not working for me, every night rub the turmeric nicely. See, not just applying. Rubbing will make the turmeric get into the system through your skin. Please listen. There are certain Ayurvedic products more powerful in your system, will act more powerfully in your system if they get in through your skin and orally taking. The turmeric, in all the Indian cooking, turmeric is used, whether it's a sambar or oriel or everywhere turmeric is used. Orally taken turmeric will only heal the ulcers of the intestine. But the turmeric rubbed on the skin only will be the antidote for fluoride. Please understand, if the turmeric is taken orally, it will not clean
Turmeric.
fluoride in your system. It will heal the ulcer in your stomach. It will help the digestion. It will completely remove acidity, gastric, all these problems. Turmeric, haritaki, neem. If you have these few things around your house, you will never fall sick. Every house, a neem tree, few turmeric plants, little haritaki. Same way, if you have a little more land around your house, these 3 trees, see, 2 lakh trees are recorded. 2 lakh trees and plants and herbs are recorded in Ayurveda. In that, 3 trees will not have flower and directly will have fruit. Pookkadu kaikkum means they will not have flower, they will directly have fruit. These 3 trees. All arasu atti. Banyan, people, fig. These 3 trees do not flower, directly give fruit. These 3 trees, they are called root to leaf aushadha. From the root to the leaf, they are medicines. These 3 trees, you can take anything, it will do good to your body. So if you have a little land around your home, try to have these few trees. One,
it's good for control. That's it.
First, foremost,
it's not that
neem.
great.
Second, banyan, turmeric plant. Turmeric can be had, you can have even in a small pot. And fig, people. All arasu atti. This, even the breeze will be healing your system. There are some herbs your system. Only then they do detoxification work. So night time, pick up the turmeric, make it little paste, nicely rub on your third eye, on your forehead. Nicely rub. 40% will get into your system and detoxify, I tell you. If you have become adult without getting third eye awakened, unfortunately, and you are plumbifying, cripping, crumbling, crutching, doing all things, very simple thing. I'm not even saying you have to do it for your whole life. Few days, night before falling asleep, pick up the turmeric powder and make it into a paste. Nicely rub on the third eye. Every milligram, micromilligram turmeric gets into your system will clean 10 times of that fluoride toxin.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The fluoride neurotoxin and its effects can be reversed by the turmeric and kumkum, especially apply it in the night and fall asleep. It will work whole night. It will work whole night. If you are in your 40s, maximum 20 days is enough to detoxify you. Please understand. If you are in 40s, maximum 20 days is enough for detoxification. If you are in your 20s, I'll say 10 days is enough for detoxification. Just apply in the night time. Taking through, listen carefully once more. Taking orally through your food will heal only your intestine, food pipe. It will heal only the stomach. Of course, that is also great. But detoxification, now I am looking at detoxifying your third eye from the neurotoxins you accumulated. There is an intra-organ called third eye that has a cords, nerves just like eyes that gets calcified by the neurotoxins that need to be cleaned. The detoxification need to happen. For that, this is the best way. Apply on your forehead, rub it nicely with the turmeric paste. Make sure it is organic. Sometimes they mix brick powder into turmeric powder. So be very clear. It is organic, unadulterated. Just nicely rub on your forehead and apply kumkum. Lie down. Bring your awareness there and visualize through your attention you are rubbing the third eye and cleaning it. You can literally visualize your third eye intra-organ. Through your attention, you are nicely rubbing and polishing. If you are in your 20s, hardly 10 days. If you are in your 40s, maximum 20 days. If you are in your 80s, maximum 1 month. Surely it will not take more than a month. Just rub the third eye with the turmeric powder or turmeric paste. The best way is picking up the original turmeric. It will be like this size. Picking it and have a stone, clean stone, and rub it nicely with water. And that paste, if you rub on your forehead in the night time before falling asleep, nicely rub it and put kumkum and fall asleep. Actually, when you put your attention on the third eye, for quite a long time you will not fall asleep. I am telling you, you put your attention when you sleep, it's okay. Till you fall asleep, go on, be having your attention there with that one intention to open the third eye. To open the third eye, you can see this is the way the turmeric is available, raw turmeric.
Yeah, let's go.
It will be good if you get raw turmeric and do it on your own. Then believing some products in the market and getting the brick powder and rubbing.
Why did you remove my line card, my mana?
If you get brick powder mixed, apply, rub, it will become wall. So after that point, I am not responsible for that. So, everyone who wants to come for Sadashivaham, please prepare yourself every night with this detoxification.
Every night.
It will help you in a very big way. See, when you apply on the skin and rub, the physical part of the turmeric does not get into your system. The subtle, the sukshma sarira of the turmeric means there will be physical component also, small physical particles, the subtle particles, when they get into your skin and get into your system, they become very powerful. Please understand. They become very powerful. And detoxify you completely, very easily. They will make your third eye function. They will make your third eye relevant for you. Actually, just like your hands, your legs, your eyes, ears, third eye is an intra-organ. You should be able to use it. There is a custom in our Hindu homes that if you are a widow, your husband has died, you don't apply turmeric on the forehead, kumkum on the forehead. But I tell you, it is for the detoxification purpose, you can apply, no problem. So, you don't have to worry about that custom. It's a detoxification purpose and spiritual purpose. Detoxification of your third eye will help you a lot for me to pour energy into it. Listen. Intra-organ itself is not third eye, not anya. See, just like these two eyes, there is intra-organ, third eye. But that is not anya. Anya is the power which activates the third eye and manifests through the third eye. This rubbing of the turmeric and applying kumkum activates, detoxifies the intra-organ called third eye. Putting your attention on the third eye activates something called anya, means the energy to activate the intra-organ called third eye happens by putting your attention on it. Yesterday I spoke about two things. Manathin uruvai maravadu sava, manathin uruvai maravadu sava, manam yena ondrilai undivara.
That's so pretty.
So, applying the turmeric and kumkum detoxifies the intra-organ called third eye.
So turmeric.
Putting your attention and keeping it on your third eye, rubbing your third eye with your attention, activates the will that creates anya to manifest powers through your intra-organ called third eye. Both need to be done. Decalcification also need to be done. Detoxification also need to be done. Infusing energy also need to be done. Understand? If you just detoxify and bring yourself to the Sadashivogam, I can put the energy. Or I can just go on blasting your third eye with energy and do the detoxification. Both are possible. But if you do the detoxification and prepare yourself little and come there, it can be 100 times more useful. The program will be 100 times more useful for you, because if you finish the first level, I will do the next level. If I have to do the first level also, okay, I will do. But the way, the exponential growth
working comes made
which can happen in you,
how to make a
if you do little preparation and come, will be amazing. It will be an amazing growth. So whoever wants to come to Sadashivoham, please,
poor guy,
start
that
detoxification
shit must
process
hurt, I swear.
now
His skull.
itself.
If that's all
Even otherwise you
skin,
can
it
do
must hurt.
detoxification. Toxins
Unless
don't
he's
do
hard
in any
headed,
way.
no pun intended, right?
So with this, I bless you all. Let you all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and causing living Shuddhadvaita Saivam, the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. Be blissful.
So really, like turmeric, I got turmeric downstairs. It has to be organic though. Expands on the new powerful technique to cleanse over our eyes using turmeric. That's quite interesting. Go. Oh my god, man, it's got haze, man. Why do I get all these fucking forests? Yeah, hit me for one. So I assume what you got is like turn 3 haste. Put this, stroke hard. Doesn't matter what he plays, I can just kill it. That's fine. That's fine. Doesn't matter what he plays, I can just kill it in the end. So, hit your move. Automatic. They effectively penetrate and directly start cleansing the third eye of all the built-up neurotoxins left by the floor. Alright. What's this? Haste. I think, should I take it? Yeah, you just put it to him. Yeah, I'll take it, no problem. Go. Your move. Fine, I'll take the damage. It's cool, man. It's cool. Got no more answers. Shit. Why do I get the feeling you're gonna play something? This is just gonna come with creature. Perfect. You should have given it to the artifact. Oh. This is my last game, I think. I need to reach 300, like Sparta. You can give haste and then mirror tail, but that's it. Oh, you retard, you're gonna look so bad. Nityananda. I can just shock this guy. I mean, let's see. Alright. Swing. Wow. You took all the damage. No, it wasn't. It was to the converted mana cost. Alright, so you took 5. Okay. Your deck kind of sucks, my friend. So if I draw like a shock or something, if If I draw something like that, then be blissful. You're gonna sack him. Fine. What about the other two? No, stop the clock. Stop the clock. Alright, in response to that, I'll respond to my own trigger. Discard my entire hand, draw a bunch of cards, draw an additional card, and swim my 5-4. And it's your move. Your move. Three or more creatures, right? Yeah, okay, let's get one. How much? Need 5 points. No. Send the car. Again? Didn't I defeat this campaign? I'm missing. Oh, yeah. I remember. It's bullshit. I can't beat you. I'm done. Well, thank you for being with me in the stream. Bye bye. I'm gonna put the kunkun on my forehead. Get the fuck out of here.